All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about a piece of technology that you've probably never even thought about. But here's the thing, it quietly powers pretty much everything you do. It's a real unlikely hero in the story of modern energy. I mean, just think about it for a second. When you flip a light switch or you plug in your phone, where does that power actually come from? Well, you might be surprised by the answer.
Yeah, you heard that right. A huge chunk of the world's electricity comes from a basic idea first patented way back when George Washington was president. It's kind of wild when you think about it. So let's dive into this.
To really get this, we have to go way, way back, to the very beginning, to that first little spark of an idea that was, honestly, centuries ahead of its time. So get this, in 1791, an English inventor, John Barber, he files a patent for a horseless carriage. His design describes his machine that sucks in air, mixes it with gas, lights it on fire, and then uses that blast to turn a wheel. And just like that, you have the world's first gas turbine. There was just one tiny problem. It was completely impossible to build. But the principle he came up with, it was brilliant. Just so simple. We call it the Brayton cycle now. And you can think of it in 4 easy steps. Suck, squeeze, bang, blow. You suck air in, you squeeze it to a super high pressure, you get a bang by lighting the fuel, and then you use all that hot gas to blow past a turbine and make it spin. Simple, right? But incredibly powerful. Barber's concept was, literally, an idea just waiting for the right materials to be invented. The kind of heat and pressure his machine needed was just way beyond anything 18th century metal could handle. So this brilliant idea, it just sat on a shelf for over 100 years. And that brings us to the next part of our story, the long, difficult road to turn this theory into something that actually works. We're talking about a century-long struggle against the absolute limits of physics and engineering. You know, engineers in the early 1900s, they were up against some huge problems. First, the metals still weren't good enough. They needed stuff that wouldn't just melt or crack. Second, and this was a huge one, their air compressors were just terrible. They were so inefficient. And finally, the science behind it all, aerodynamics and thermodynamics, it was all still pretty new. Think about this. For decades, these early gas turbines had this one fatal flaw. The compressor, the squeeze part, actually used up more energy than the turbine itself was producing. So what they had was an engine that couldn't even power itself. It was a total dead end for a long, long time. So what changed everything? A world war. Yep, the desperate, urgent need for military advantage was the catalyst that finally pushed gas turbine tech from just being this theoretical curiosity into a force that would change the world. By the time World War II rolled around, the old piston engines were really hitting a wall. They were super heavy, mechanically complicated, and propellers just can't spin past a certain speed. But the gas turbine? Well, that offered this amazing alternative. It was way simpler, so much lighter, and it promised this totally new kind of power. And the result of all that intense wartime R&D was one of the most transformative inventions of the entire 20th century. The jet engine. It was basically John Barber's idea, finally brought to life with modern materials and a brand new purpose. The impact was just immediate. Jet-powered planes completely shattered speed records. We're talking flying over 500 miles per hour. It just fundamentally changed everything about air power, and pretty soon it would change the world. So after the war, engineers are looking at this incredible machine they built for the skies, and they have another brilliant thought. What if we could bring that power back down to Earth? And that pivot from jets to power plants happened really fast. The jet engine had totally proven itself in the war, and by the 1950s, engineers were already tweaking these aeroderivative turbines for a completely new job, making electricity for everyone. And it just made so much sense. The very same things that made jet engines awesome for planes, how reliable they were, how much power you got from a small package, how fast you could start them up, well, all those things also made them a fantastic solution for power plants on the ground. So that brings us to today, the modern era. And now the story of the gas turbine isn't just about raw power anymore. Now it's about being incredibly, almost beautifully efficient. Modern power plants use something called a combined cycle process. So first, the gas turbine does its thing, suck, squeeze, bang, blow, to spin a generator. But here's where the genius comes in. Instead of just letting all that super hot exhaust go to waste, they capture it. They use that heat to boil water, which creates high-pressure steam. And that steam drives a second turbine, making even more electricity. In this chart, wow, it just lays it all out. A simple gas turbine by itself, you're getting maybe 35% efficiency out of your fuel. But by adding that second steam cycle, a modern plant can hit over 60% efficiency. That's not just a little better, that is a massive leap forward. So here's the key takeaway. This whole process takes what used to be wasted heat and turns it into a huge amount of extra power. And here's the kicker, without using a single drop more fuel. It's one of the most efficient ways we have to generate electricity from fossil fuels, period. So there you have it, the whole incredible journey of an idea. From an impossible patent for a horseless carriage in the 1700s, through a century of struggles, forged in the fires of a world war, and finally becoming the quiet, efficient heart of the grid we all rely on today. It's a journey that took over 230 years to get us to this point, which really leaves us with one last big question to chew on. What are the breakthroughs happening right now that are going to define the next 20 years in our search for energy?